Getting prepared for anesthesiologist assistant school is definitely a daunting task. I remember when I first got accepted, and one of the first things that went through my mind was, am I already behind? Am I doing the right things to get ready for the start of my AA program? So I can sympathize with a lot of you accepted anesthesiologist assistant students who might be feeling you're already behind the curve. And that's why I'm making this video. I'm making this video for you guys so that you can kind of see some of the steps that I have taken to get ready for anesthesiologist assistant school, some of the things that I've done, maybe some of the things that I've avoided doing. And I'm also making this video for prospective anesthesiologist assistant students so that you all can see what it's like in the months getting ready for the start of an anesthesiologist assistant program. It might even give you something to look forward to and maybe hopefully motivate you to get that acceptance into AA school very soon. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 of the most important things that I have been doing to get ready for anesthesiologist assistant school in the months leading up to the start of my program in August. I know that a lot of students right now are getting accepted. Right now, we're in the midst of the application cycle. So a lot of people have been going to interviews, have been getting acceptances. So maybe you recently got an acceptance and maybe you are wondering what steps you need to take now to get ready for AA school. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first very important point that I want to get out of the way is that every anesthesiologist assistant program is going to be different in how they want you to prepare for the start of their program. Some schools are going to give you a lot to do. For example, you might have your drug card months in advance before the start of the program. Maybe you have different modules that they want you to work through, maybe different reading assignments, different textbooks that they want you to start looking at. However, not all programs are uniform in that way. Some programs will want you to focus on relaxing and clearing your brain and getting mentally and psychologically ready for the start of the program, because we all know anesthesiologist assistant school can be very intense. It can be demanding, especially in those early months when you don't know a lot of this important stuff that goes into being in the operating room and working as an AA. So some programs will give you a lot, some will give you a little. It really just depends on how that program wants you to learn and wants you to prepare for the AA program. So keep that in mind. Maybe some of these things that I'm talking about you shouldn't be doing before the start of your program because they haven't given you these resources yet. And that's totally fine. Everything I'm going to talk about in this video is based on my own experience, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. The first thing that I want to talk about in regards to getting ready for the start of your AA program is what I like to call the boring stuff, or the compliance stuff, as maybe your program is going to call it. Now, a lot of you are probably like, I don't want to hear Jesse talk about all the boring stuff, all the compliance things that I have to do getting ready for the start of the program, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention this in this video, because I know that there are students out there who maybe slack on the important compliance items that they're given even months before the start of a program. You very likely might be given a drug test to complete. You might be given a background check that you have to complete. You have to make sure that you have documented all of your immunizations for the start of the program, which can be very important, especially for away rotations, because away rotations are going to have different mandates as far as which vaccines and which immunizations you need to have in order to go to those rotations. So it's very important early on to get these out of the way and knock them out so that you are not delayed or even compromise a seat that you might have in a program. When you get ready for the start of a program, be checking your email, be in contact with your program director, and make sure that you don't miss any of the very important compliance items that they send you, because maybe slacking on one of those things can be the difference between you starting the program with all of your classmates and maybe being delayed or even losing a seat in a program. So that's number one. I'm getting that out of the way early on because I think that it is one of the most important things that you need to do to get ready for the start of your AA program. The next thing that I want to talk about is something that most programs will be giving to students in the months leading up to their start of the AA program, and it is your drug card. Your drug card is going to be slightly different. There's going to be variation. The one thing that all of these drug cards have in common is that they can be very big and very extensive. A lot of times you're going to have to memorize the drug, its generic name, its trade name. You're going to have to memorize concentrations. You're going to have to memorize IV dosage, infusion rates, usual adult boluses. The list goes on, and it can change depending on the program. It can definitely be daunting, and I'm going to talk about some of the ways that I have personally studied this drug card and worked on memorizing it for the start of my program, but this is probably going to be the most important thing. I know that some preceptors say if you walk into my operating room and you don't know your drugs like the back of your hand, if you're forgetting concentrations and IV dosages, they'll kick you out. You might not even get to be in the operating room learning with an anesthesiologist assistant. So it is vitally important that you go over your drug card, you take steps to memorize it, go through it thoroughly, practice. One thing that I've even done is I've gotten a large blank drug card and I've gone through and I've just filled it in. The only thing that I see is the generic name, and then I have to fill in all the other parts of the drug card. I think that that's some of the best practice that you can have, and learning these different drugs, these different pharmaceuticals, so that when you get ready to start your AA program and you're going to these clinicals, you're going into the OR, you have these drugs memorized like the back of your hand and you've got it down. That's going to be one of the most important things to do getting ready for the start of your AA program. All right, the next thing that you might have to do in preparation for the start of your AA program is complete different modules. For me, they're summer modules because we start in the fall, in August. I've been completing these modules in the summer. Different programs might have different, amount of information that they want you to learn in these modules, or maybe they don't have modules at all. And the information in these modules can vary greatly. A lot of the things that I have been learning in these modules are very basic things. For example, just tell me what a general anesthesia case is, or a MAC case is. Maybe it's tell me about the mechanism of action of some certain pharmaceutical. It might even be something with instrumentation, like tell me why you might use a fiber optic bronchoscope, why you might need a glide scope for an intubation. There's a lot of information in there, but I don't think it's as dense as the drug card. It covers a lot of the very basic surface level items that are going to be vital in building the foundation in those first couple weeks that you enter into your AA program. So it's important that whatever your program gives you, whether they're modules, whether they're assignments, whether they're different readings that you might have over the summer, make sure that you do those, because that information will be vital for the start of your program to make sure that you have a strong foundation when you enter into the operating room, when you start taking these classes, that you are all prepared and ready to go for the start of your program. For me personally, one way that I have been memorizing my drug card and going over these modules has been using Anki. Anki is probably my favorite program for studying. It is a flashcard program. I've talked about it in this video right here. Go watch that if you want to learn some of these study tips and tricks that I learned in my undergraduate degree. Hey everybody, while I am texting my wife real quick, I wanted to let you guys know about TrueLearn. TrueLearn is the gold standard question bank used by anesthesiologist assistant students around the board to prepare for their board exams. It's awesome. I even got it here on my mobile phone. I can use it on the app. It's incredible. Tons of great resources from TrueLearn. Use code Hayward, that's HAYWARD, for $25 off the AA practice exam today. Get ready for your AA board exam with TrueLearn. With that out of the way, back to the video. Sorry, that was my wife. But Anki has been my best friend getting ready for the start of AA school. I have been able to input different drugs, concentrations, IV doses, the rest of it into Anki, as well as long form questions that I have encountered in my summer modules. So I get to learn both of these things at the same time in the same program. It's very integrated. And I've also gotten really good at learning different features about Anki. Being proficient with Anki, learning how to make flashcards quickly and efficiently is something that I think is going to be very important for me when I start my program, when I'm given different lectures, different slides, to be able to make these note cards really quickly and be able to test myself on these right away after being given a lecture. So this is sort of my practice for that, doing that with these drug cards, with these modules, and practicing using Anki, getting really good at it so that when I start my program, I'll be all set. All right, number 4 on this list of things that I have done to get ready for the start of my AA program is reading. Over the summer, my program has given me several different reading assignments. For our modules, a lot of times they've said you can find the answers to these questions in different textbooks like Morgan and McHale, like Miller's. There's all these different textbooks that we have access to find answers to the questions in the module. So I've been going through those, skimming through them, obviously not in depth. That in-depth portion is going to come when I start the program, but those are there for me to get ready and sort of get used to the writing and the style that these writers use in the textbook. But we were also given a really interesting book to read over the course of the summer, and it's called When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. I read the whole thing in a day, actually. I know that a lot of medical schools have their students read this book before the start of their program. I didn't know the CE was going to have us read this book, but we ended up reading this book in preparation for the program as a way to reflect on what it means to be in medicine, see what medicine looks like from both the physician perspective and the patient perspective, and also learn about what it means to be empathetic and patient-focused and patient-centered in medicine. So like I said, I might talk about this book a lot more in another video. Me and my wife read it together. I cried while we were reading it. It's very emotional. The point being is that reading during the summer is really going to be one of the most important things that you can do to prepare for the start of your AA program. And lastly, number 5 is relax. To enjoy life, to go travel, go do the things that you're probably not going to get to do for the next 2.5 years of your life. That has been one thing that I have not only heard from faculty at the school that I'm going to be attending, that I've heard from fellow students, from peers, from current students at the program that I'll be attending. I have heard so many people say, I got too focused on getting ready for AA school in the months leading up to it. Obviously, they had drug cards to be memorizing and modules to be going through, but they said I sort of got too focused on those things and I forgot to do the things that life is all about. Traveling, doing fun things with family. All of those things are super important to be doing in this last couple months before you start your program, because once you start the program, it's going to be very intense. It's going to be taking up a lot of your time, probably going to be traveling a lot of places for away rotation. So it's very likely you will have less time to do the things that you want to do for the next 2.5 years when you're in the program. So one thing that I have heard from many other students and faculty, and something that I would want everyone that has been accepted in into AA school to do is to take a second, breathe. Don't worry too much about getting ready for the start of the program. Obviously do the things your program is telling you to do. But one of the most important things that you should be focusing on is enjoying life and relaxing and doing fun things before the start of the program. It's going to get you in a good state mentally, psychologically, so that when you start the program, you are ready to dive in and you've done all the things that you want to do. And then once you graduate, I know a lot of people take a couple months off after they graduate to go travel, do these fun things that they did before school. So that's probably the biggest thing that I would recommend doing. Some of the things that I've been doing in this gap year that I've had before the start of my program, I've continued running, I've continued traveling all over the country. I even got to go on a trip to Europe with my wife and her family. Do those fun things. Do those things you won't get to do for the next 2.5 years. I think that will be something that helps you mentally before you start the program. You're all relaxed, you're all ready to go, and you can pour all of your energy into doing well in anesthesiologist assistant school. So that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys got something valuable out of this video, whether you are an accepted AA student, whether you're a prospective AA student, or whether you've just found out about anesthesiologist assistant profession for the very first time. I wanna welcome you to this profession. It's awesome, it's a blast. I love anesthesia. It's so easy to immerse yourself in it, and it's just very fulfilling. Even though I haven't even started yet, just in the little bits and pieces of the surface level content that I've been going over this summer before the start of my program, I know that this is the right place to be. And that's why I make these videos, for you all to get exposure to anesthesia and hopefully learn something about becoming an anesthesiologist assistant. So again, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.